Welcome to Menopause Part 2. As I said, meaty old subject, so it needs a bit of time. So where I'm now going with this is that we're still talking about heat. Most people's symptoms with the menopause are related to heat. Okay, so why then, beyond the fact that the menstrual flow is now stopping, why else? Well, the reason being is that a lot of menopause issues are to do with the reduction of the hormones of estrogen and progesterone, okay? Because what happens is when the body reaches the age of around 45, more or less, it recognizes that it is no longer able to start reproducing. Bodies have two functions in life, okay? The first one is to keep you alive, and the second one is to reproduce. But let me tell you, the second one disappears when you're dealing with the first one, okay? Its number one primary thing is to keep you alive. And actually, menopause, periods, and fertility are all completely connected. So often you find women who are struggling to reproduce is because basically the body has shut down the reproductive system because it's likely to be extremely stressed with modern living, and therefore it's just dealing with keeping you alive, and therefore dealing about kind of procreating into somebody else becomes a secondary function, okay? And it is, because basically keeping you alive is its number one function. And the body recognizes that by traditionally, given that you would start having babies at about 12 to 14 in the olden days, and the body is still engaged with that kind of process, that traditionally by the time you got to 45, your body really has kind of been through the wars, really, you know, didn't used to have central heating and all the luxuries of modern living. And therefore by 45, your body would think, actually, if she had a baby at this age, she's highly unlikely to live, in which case we're not going to allow that to happen. Okay, because that's your body being sensical. But what it then will do is it will start reducing the quantities of sex hormones, progesterone and estrogen, and it will cessate the periods. So the first thing I've already talked about is that finishing the period obviously creates this heat problem elsewhere in the body. But also the reduction of the sex hormones will also have a knock-on effect as well. Why? Because estrogen primarily is what we call a yin substance inside the body. And this yin substance is absolutely vital because what it is it's a cooling mechanism, okay? It's a hydration factor. What yin will do is it will allow you to basically have coolant inside the body. Now, if the body is naturally reducing a yin substance and you have too much heat inside the body, which is not getting rid of because the menstrual cycle is not going, the knock-on effect of this is that the basic functioning of any human body, male or female, is this yin-yang hook, okay? It's this balance of yin and yang. I have ta-da! Here is the yin and yang symbol. What's this about? It's basically giving you an absolute harmony and balance between the two. And the minute that, so the black is the yin and the white is the yang, okay? And if there's not enough yin and too much yang, because the yang is too hot, then what's going to happen is you're going to have way too much, the white of this diagram is going to kind of go all the way over to there. And this poor little black stuff hasn't really got a look in. What does that mean? It means that this, which is what's holding it all together, won't have, this is going to, okay, this is what's going to, okay, this is what's going to happen because there's not enough yin and there's too much yang, okay? You've got too much of one and not enough of another, which is like a double whammy of problems. And what your body is going to do is it's going to clear the heat. That's its job because it wants to keep you alive. So all these symptoms that you're feeling is the body basically desperately trying to get this heat away from your organs, which are absolutely quintessential to your very life itself. Now, of course, with natural medicine, what will happen is we will look at those symptoms and go, oh, hang on, you've got way too much heat, we need to clear it, okay? Your body is asking for us to clear heat, okay? So now I've explained that to you and you go, oh my God, that's really interesting. So anything to do with dryness, brittleness, sweating, kind of fluctuating temperatures, anything, or night sweats, or insomnia, or irritability, or I'm just looking at my notes, any other menstrual symptoms that I can just think of, and hot flashes, of course, like the most obvious, anything like that. It's heat. There's too much heat because the estrogen is declining and there's too much heat inside the body because it's not being evacuated during the menstrual flow, okay? And why? Because basically we've inherited quite a hot environment and that's what we need to change. So, okay, Katie, stop talking. You're in phase number 2. Why? What are we going to do about this? What we have to do is quite simple. We have to nourish yin and we have to clear heat. That is what you have to do. Now, there are loads of great supplements and things out there, but the bottom line is that if those supplements are not getting to where they need to go, you're slightly wasting your money. But the idea of the Hayo'u method is not to contradict other things that you think that you know or other things that experts are talking about. The idea of this is to work in conjunction with you, all right? And it's very easy to nourish yin and clear heat using the Hayo'u method. So, question is, how do we do it? Right, well, this is now kind of part 2. So if I don't get through everything in part 2 of menopause, I'm going to go to part 3. Okay, so we're halfway through part 2. What are we going to do? The Hayo'u method is basically based on 3 techniques: rescue, reset, restore. Okay, why? Because if you want to nourish yin and clear heat, the first thing you've got to do is engage with the kidneys. Okay, now why? Because the kidneys are responsible for the balance of yin and yang within the body. The kidneys themselves are a yin organ. The kidneys are responsible for the cycle of life. They're responsible for the reproductive system, and they are responsible for balancing heat within the body. Wow, okay, there's an awful lot of stuff going on in your kidneys which is going to help you. And the very, very, very first thing that you do to help your kidneys, okay, believe it or not, is rest. 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 And that is the one thing that we as women largely are not doing, because we are managing everything. We are kind of like master women because we now have the right to work. And that's amazing, because hurrah for that. But the knock-on effect is that we're still doing the job that our mums were doing, and that was their job. So in the old days, our mum would do A and our dads would do B, and they would both get a chance to rest at the end of each. But we now as women are doing A and B because everything's become so expensive, so we kind of have to. We don't really have much choice. The knock-on effect is that we're not resting, which means we're knackering our kidneys. So what do we do? Well, the very first thing that we talk about in the Hayo'u method is the rescue breath. Okay, we are going to rescue the body. And what that does is it enables the kidneys to go into their rest mode. Now, I'm not going to talk on this feed too much about how you do that, because if you go onto my IGTV, I've got loads of posts about the rescue breath, about how to take that into a deeper meditation, about how to use that in the bath. Okay, all that content is there, so I'm not going to repeat it. But what I am going to tell you is that the number one thing you need to do for your kidneys is you've got to rest them. Okay, that's the first thing, because resting encourages yin. Now, there's other things as well that you can do to encourage yin, okay, but the rest is the most important thing. Yes, there are dietary advice as well. Now, again, I talk more about dietary advice in terms of how to look after your kidneys in my Yang Sheng book, which I urge you to get, because it basically gives you absolute bells and whistles. We also have a kidney fact sheet which we can send you. So if you email us in, we will send you the kidney fact sheet for free, and that will give you anything to do with the kidneys is what you want to do to encourage your yin. Okay, so that's what you're going to do. But then what? Well, then the question is, we need to clear this heat. This heat is a problem. How do we do this? Well, there are 2 really simple ways to clear heat within the body. Okay, the first, and really, really simple, is by using the bamboo tapper. Okay, because what's happening is that this heat is within your body, and your body is trying to push it out through the skin. So what you want to do is you want to open up the pores of the skin and allow that heat to come out. Okay, because the minute it's out, better out than in. Okay, that's what your nan used to say. So I'm now going to stop this feed because I think we're nearly coming to the end of it, and I'm going to go to menopause part 3, where I will complete what you're going to do about it next.